I wasn't invited to the family trip. They said it was too expensive to pay for another seat. Later, my brother sent me a Venmo request. $600. Your share of the catering. I sent back exactly $1 with my own note. For the air you'll be eating. Then I changed every password on the streaming accounts they'd been using since 2019. 40 minutes later, my sister texted. Why is the TV asking me who I am? The thing is, I didn't even know they were planning a trip. I found out the same way a stranger would, through social media. My cousin posted a boomerang video, and there was my entire family on a boat in Lake Tahoe. Mom, Dad, my brother Ethan, my sister Melanie and her kids, even Uncle Jack with his neck brace, grinning like this was the goddamn royal wedding. Everyone except me. I stared at that video for a full minute, trying to process what I was seeing. Maybe it was old footage. Maybe they were just reposting memories. Then I saw the timestamp, posted 1 hour ago. Melanie had tagged the location. Annual family trip. Annual? Since when? I called my mom directly. No preamble, no small talk. Why wasn't I invited? Her answer came too quickly, too rehearsed. Well, Toby, it's not personal. We just couldn't afford an extra seat. The cabin only sleeps a certain number, and you know how expensive flights are these days. An extra seat. Like I was an oversized piece of luggage nobody wanted to check. But here's what really got me. They flew Dylan in from Oregon. They brought Melanie's dog. I found out later they even hired a private chef for one night. Yet somehow, I was the budget breaker. I didn't say anything at all. That's what really made them comfortable. They assumed I'd stay quiet, just like every other time they'd left me out of decisions or treated me like the family afterthought. The next morning, I got a Venmo request from Ethan. No explanation, just $1,600 your share of the food. The food I didn't eat. From the trip I wasn't invited to. I stared at that request like it was some elaborate prank, like Ashton Kutcher was about to leap out from behind a potted plant. Instead, I sent Ethan exactly $1 with the note. For the air you'll breathe. Then I got to work. See, I pay for all the family streaming services, Netflix, Hulu, HBO, Disney+, even Spotify Premium on a family plan. I don't mind helping out, but helping people who apparently don't think I qualify for a damn folding chair on their vacation? That's different. I changed every password, logged every device out, activated two-factor authentication, and renamed all the profiles. Ethan's became Enjoy the Silence. Melanie's was No shows for fake sisters. My parents got simply uninvited. It took less than an hour before the first ripple hit. Melanie texted, Why is the TV asking me who I am? I didn't respond. 5 minutes later, a missed call from Dad. Then 2 from Ethan. Then total silence, like they were regrouping, trying to figure out if I was serious. What happened next, I didn't expect. Melanie sent a screenshot to the wrong chat. It was supposed to go to Mom, but instead, she sent it to me. It was a group chat titled Family Real One. I wasn't in it. All of them were there, Mom, Dad, Ethan, Melanie, cousins, even Uncle Rick. They'd created an entire group chat to plan everything, share jokes, post photos. A chat made specifically to leave me out. And they named it Real One. I didn't reply. I didn't even flinch. But I felt something inside me snap, quiet and permanent, like the sound of a lock turning. They'd convinced themselves that I was just a side character in their lives, useful when needed, invisible when not. They thought I'd keep showing up like I always did. They were wrong. This time, I wasn't going to disappear quietly. This time, I was going to take something back. They were still on their trip when I started. Why should I wait for them to come home? According to them, I wasn't part of the real family anyway. First, I cut the shared Costco membership. I paid for it, but Mom was the primary card holder. It took 2 minutes to switch the account and get a new digital card under my name only. Then I checked my Amazon account. Sure enough, Ethan had been using my Prime for free delivery for years. I removed every address that wasn't mine, every payment method I didn't recognize, and switched the password to something long, ugly, and unguessable. Next, I started making calls. I'd been paying for their home security system too, the whole Nest setup. It was originally a gift I'd given my parents after a break-in 2 years ago. I called support and transferred ownership back to myself. They'd have to reinstall everything if they wanted it to work again. The most satisfying part was watching them figure it out in real time. Melanie posted a story from the lake, just a dark screen with text overlay. Why is nothing working? Epic fail. I knew exactly what that meant. I checked my inbox. Ethan had sent an email titled, Seriously? I didn't open it. But the message that really got to me came 2 days later. Uncle Rick called. He never calls me. He asked if I had a minute, then said, Listen, Toby, I didn't know you weren't invited. None of us did. We just assumed you were coming later. I didn't say much, just listened. Rick's a retired cop, kind of the family's unofficial judge when drama breaks out. I'd never been on his radar before. He told me he'd confronted Dad about it, and Dad gave him the same story. Too expensive, too many people, had to make choices. But Rick wasn't buying it. You're not a choice, he told me flat out. You're family. I let that sit for a second. Then Rick said something I didn't expect. He was going to leave early, that he didn't feel right staying when he knew I'd been left out. Said it looked bad, said it was bad, and he wasn't the only one thinking it. My cousin Jenna DM'd me the next morning with the same sentiment. She'd found out from Uncle Rick and was pissed. She told me my parents had been telling everyone I'd opted out of the trip because I was too busy with work. That's the story they went with, that I'd chosen not to go. They lied, and people were starting to notice. By the time they got home, the energy had shifted. Ethan was still furious, Melanie was trying to play peacekeeper, but my parents were quiet. Too quiet. I waited. I wanted to see how long it would take them to bring it up. They lasted 1 day. The doorbell rang, and I opened it to find Dad standing there with a Tupperware container and a forced smile. Leftovers from the trip, he said. We thought maybe we could talk. I didn't take the container. Just stood there looking at him. He added, We thought maybe we could work this out. I told him to come back when he could tell me the real reason they'd left me out. He didn't argue, just left the food on the porch and walked back to his car. I didn't bring it inside. I wasn't hungry. They came back from the trip pretending nothing had happened, like the boat photos, the group chat, the streaming blackout, the call from Uncle Rick. None of it had ever existed. Mom even called that week asking if I could come over and help her set up her new iPad. I said I was busy. She paused. That's okay. Maybe next week. Then she hung up before I could answer. Next week never came, but I wasn't done. Not even close. They still had their group chat. I couldn't see it, but Jenna sent me screenshots. They'd renamed it from Family Real 1 to Trip Chat, but the messages were still about me. Melanie. Do you think Toby's going to try to ruin Christmas now? Ethan. He's too petty to even talk to us, but not petty enough to cancel Spotify apparently LOL. Mom. Let's just focus on staying positive. If he wants to isolate himself, that's his choice. Dad didn't write anything, but then again, he never does when it's his idea. He lets others do the explaining. So I decided to test just how much they actually needed me. I went to the storage unit, the one in my name that had been housing most of their stuff since 2021 when my parents were downsizing. Most of their holiday decorations, family heirlooms, old documents, everything they didn't want to throw out but couldn't keep in the garage. I told them they could use the space for free. On a Saturday, I pulled out everything that was mine and moved it to a new unit across town. Then I emailed the company and told them to terminate the rental at the end of the week. 3 days later, I got a frantic voicemail from Mom. Something about needing Halloween decorations for Melanie's party. The storage code wasn't working. Could I check? I didn't call back. The panic didn't stop there. The HOA emailed Dad. Apparently, I'd been the one paying the shared landscaping fee on their duplex for the last 8 months. They'd assumed he'd taken it over when I updated my billing info. He hadn't. The late fee came to $340. I paid it, then sent him the invoice. He Venmo'd me the money with the note. Guess I owe you more than just the seat. Now they were starting to realize how much of the family's infrastructure I'd been quietly propping up. Then came the real twist. Ethan posted a photo from the trip, one he hadn't shared before. Everyone at dinner, plates piled high, wine flowing. And at the edge of the frame, sitting where I probably would have been, was someone I didn't recognize. Some guy named Derek, apparently a friend of Dylan's, just a buddy who wanted to get away for the weekend. They'd brought a stranger instead of me. I messaged Jenna. She confirmed it. Derek had been on the boat, in the cabin, even tagged in a few private photos. My seat had gone to a stranger. I didn't cry. I didn't rage. I just stared at the screen and thought, they really thought this was okay. I screenshotted the photo and texted it to Mom. No words, just the image. 10 minutes later she replied, "It's not what it looks like." But it was. It was exactly what it looked like. They'd replaced me, and they thought I'd never notice. After I sent that photo of Derek to Mom, everything just stopped. No follow-up, no explanation, no panic texts. It was like they all held their breath at once and agreed not to exhale until I backed off. I didn't hear from anyone for 3 days. Then Ethan showed up at my apartment like a cop on a welfare check. He didn't call, didn't text, just buzzed my door and stood there with his hands in his hoodie, looking like he was doing something noble. I let him in, not because I wanted to talk, but because I wanted to see how far he was going to take the performance. He walked in like the place belonged to him, and stood there like he was inspecting damage. He didn't sit, didn't smile, just said, "Look, this got out of hand. Everyone's upset. We need to fix this." I leaned against the counter and said nothing. He started saying things like, "The family's in a weird place," and "Mom hasn't been sleeping," and "Dad's trying to hold it together." Then he dropped the line he probably thought was going to seal it. "Melanie's planning a dinner next week. Just the core family. No outsiders. No Derek." Core family? Like that was supposed to make me laugh. I asked him a question he wasn't ready for. "Did you know about Derek before the trip?" He blinked, swallowed. "He was a last-minute addition. Dylan brought him. Nobody thought it would be a big deal. Nobody thought it would be a big deal to give my seat to a stranger?" He looked at the floor and said nothing. I told him I wasn't interested in sitting around a table pretending this was all a misunderstanding. I told him to go back and ask our parents one question: why was it so easy to forget me? He left not long after that. Then came the flood. Apparently, after Ethan went back and relayed what happened, Melanie tried damage control in the group chat. Jenna sent me more screenshots. "Melanie. We tried to include him now, and he's still being difficult. Ethan. He's addicted to drama. He wants us to feel bad forever." And then Dad, finally breaking his silence. "It's not about feeling bad. It's about not being able to move forward with someone who holds a grudge like that." That's when Uncle Rick stepped in. "This isn't about a grudge. It's about all of you pretending like nothing happened. You excluded him, lied about it, and replaced him. And now you want to punish him for not getting over it fast enough?" Silence for an hour after that. Then Jenna replied, "He didn't exclude himself. You did that for him. Don't spin it now." Suddenly, the real family group chat wasn't feeling as real as they thought. People were peeling off. Uncle Lou told them they owed me more than a dinner invitation. And Marcy, who usually tries to avoid conflict like it's contagious, said they needed to own the damage. The cracks were getting wider. That night, my phone buzzed with a message from a number I didn't recognize. I almost didn't open it. It was a photo of Mom standing outside my office building, holding a manila envelope. 5 minutes later, I got another buzz, this time from my front desk. She'd left something there. Inside the envelope was a handwritten note, and a check for $5,000. "Toby, this doesn't cover everything, but we know what we owe you. Not just the money, the space, the truth. Please consider it a beginning." $5,000. Not a round number, not symbolic, just exact. I knew what it was: reimbursement for all the years I'd covered streaming services, storage fees, house maintenance, last-minute emergencies. They'd gone through it all, tallied it up, and paid it back. That wasn't an apology. That was a confession. And finally, they understood something. I was never the extra seat. I was the foundation, and they just realized how much it hurt to stand without it. The check sat on my counter for 8 days. $5,000 in clean, heavy silence, printed in black ink. I didn't touch it, not because I was deciding whether to forgive them, but because I wanted them to live with the weight, with the possibility that even paying back what they owed might not be enough. During those days, my phone stayed mostly quiet. Not entirely, though. Jenna kept texting me little updates, nothing dramatic, just things like, "You should have seen Uncle Rick after Ethan tried to lecture him about family loyalty." Or, "If it helps, Derek was super annoying. He brought his own travel seasoning and said our food was bland. That one actually made me laugh. Then Melanie texted just 2 words. Coffee soon? I ignored it at first. Then, 2 days later, I gave her a time and place, neutral ground, a little cafe that didn't serve anything with more than 4 ingredients. She showed up early, which told me this wasn't about small talk. She looked tired, like she'd been walking around with this weight for a while and wasn't sure where to set it down. She had her youngest with her, scribbling on a tablet and ignoring both of us. We ordered, sat, and for a while, nobody said anything. Then she just let it all out. Told me everything, how the whole family had convinced themselves that I didn't like being around people, that I was the independent one, that I wouldn't have said yes even if they'd invited me. That Ethan said I was impossible to include without making things awkward. That Dad said, "It's not like he has kids. It's different." Then she looked me dead in the eye and said, "We let ourselves believe that leaving you out was the kind option." I asked her if she believed that now. "No," she said. "Now I think it was the easiest option." I asked her who invited Derek. I was expecting her to blame Dylan again. That's when the first real surprise hit. "It was Dad," she said. I blinked. "What?" He felt weird about leaving the seat empty. Thought it would be more efficient to use all the space. Dylan mentioned a friend, and Dad said yes. I told him it was a bad idea, but he didn't want to talk about it. I sat there stunned. My own father had made the call to fill my seat. It wasn't a last-minute mistake, it was a conscious, deliberate decision. I don't know why that hurt worse, but it did. Not just forgotten, replaced. With someone easier, someone quiet, someone unconnected. Melanie noticed my reaction and pulled something out of her purse, a small envelope. She slid it across the table. "It's not a check," she said. I opened it. Inside was a photo, a real, printed photo from one of their group dinner nights. Not the one I'd seen on Instagram. This one was different. Everyone was there, smiling. But Derek was off to the side, not even fully in frame, just a shoulder and an elbow. My seat at the table was empty. They'd set the table for 13, but nobody could bring themselves to sit in my spot. "We told ourselves you weren't coming," she said. "But no one could sit in your seat." That did something to me. I won't pretend it fixed everything, but it changed the shape of the anger. It wasn't just about being excluded, it was about how scared they were of admitting they'd messed up. I asked her what the plan was now, what they actually wanted. Melanie said quietly, "Mom wants to cook. Just the family. No outsiders." She paused. "She asked me to invite you properly. No tricks." That evening, I got a package delivered. No return label, but I recognized the handwriting, Mom's. Inside was a key. No note, just a single front door key to their house. A replacement for the one they'd taken back last year, thinking I wouldn't notice. I hadn't noticed until now. That weekend, the group chat dinged, the real one. I'd been added back. The first message was from Dad. "Family dinner next Saturday. No speeches, just food. Seat's yours if you want it." I waited a full hour before replying. Then I wrote, "Don't burn the steak." Melanie replied with a clapping emoji. Ethan just said, "Mom's crying in the kitchen." I didn't say anything else. But later that night, I finally deposited the check. The number didn't matter anymore. The gesture did. They knew now, I wasn't the extra seat. I was the reason the table ever felt full. I didn't tell anyone I was coming to the dinner. I let them stew in the uncertainty, let them set the table, stare at the empty chair, and wonder if I'd show. Part of me honestly hadn't decided until I got in the car. The house looked the same, but something was different when I pulled up. Every light in the place was on, overcompensating, as if brightness could cover what had gone dark between us. I walked up to the front door, paused for a second, then used the new key. It turned clean, no resistance. They hadn't changed the locks again. The smell hit me first, roast beef, garlic, rosemary. Mom's signature dinner when she wants to make things feel warm and controlled. I stepped inside, and for a second, nobody noticed. Then I heard chairs shift, quiet voices fade. Melanie was the first to meet my eyes. Then Mom. She looked like she'd been crying for hours and trying to pretend she hadn't. The table was set for 13 again. This time, nobody had tried to fill my seat. I sat down without saying anything. I didn't need to. Dinner was quiet at first. People were clearly walking on eggshells. Even the kids were subdued, like they'd been warned to behave, or maybe they just felt the tension in the air. About halfway through, Dad stood up with a glass of wine. I braced myself. He cleared his throat and said, "We're not doing speeches." Then he sat back down. That got a small laugh. Even I cracked a smile. We ate. We talked. Slowly, the room started to feel more like it used to, but I couldn't shake the feeling that something was still off. There was still a crack under the surface, like someone hadn't told the whole truth yet. After dessert, when people were getting up, Melanie pulled me aside. "There's something else you should know," she said. I followed her out to the garage. She opened a cabinet near the back wall and pulled out a thin binder. It had my name on it. I didn't recognize it. "I found this in Dad's office. I think you should read it." I opened it and saw a year's worth of receipts, emails, notes, all expenses, things I had paid for, stuff I didn't even remember. Streaming accounts, holiday dinners, a plumbing bill from 2020, my parents' car registration. All tracked, all written in Dad's handwriting. It looked like he'd been documenting everything I'd done for them quietly, like he'd been keeping score but never said a word. "I think he always knew," Melanie said. "He just didn't know how to say thank you without feeling small." I closed the binder and walked back into the house with it under my arm. Dad was in the kitchen, drying a plate. I put the binder on the counter. "I saw it," I said. He nodded, didn't say anything. Then, "You always showed up, Toby. Even when we didn't ask?" "Especially then." I should have said that before. I didn't respond right away. Then I asked him the question that had been eating at me. "So why Derek?" He sighed. "Because I thought maybe it wouldn't matter this time. Maybe you had outgrown us. I told myself you wouldn't even notice." That hit harder than I expected, not just because it was pathetic, but because it was almost believable. Like they'd all convinced themselves I didn't care anymore. "Well, I noticed," I said. He nodded again, then said something I never thought I'd hear. "I'm glad you made it hurt." There was nothing smug about it. Just the plain truth, like he knew it had to happen. I didn't hug him, that would have been too much. But I did leave the binder on the counter when I went to grab my coat. Before I walked out, Mom handed me a full-wrapped plate. "I made extra for tomorrow." It wasn't about the food. It was about having something to give me. At the door, I turned and said, "Keep the table set for 13. She smiled like she was about to cry again. Then she nodded. I left without looking back, because I knew this time the door would stay open, and nobody else would be sitting in my seat.